Okay, so the book I read from before is Artistic License. This is what it looks like. And I actually found, when I was cleaning my house this weekend, 3 VIP packs from when it was released. So if you buy one, you get a VIP pack if you're one of the first 3. The next thing I'm going to read is from Horrific History. It's an anthology from Hazardous Press. And we all took times in history and just made them horrific, even though they already probably were horrific. So my story is set in the 1800s, and it is about a famous female in history, in American history. But the reveal is so sweet that I just can't share it with you. And that's really hard because I can't stop talking. So, it's called Prettiest Things. All the prettiest things in the world die before their time. That's what Mama said as she stood over my baby sister's grave, clutching a wooden stake and hammer in her hands so tightly I thought they would crumble. My baby sis was still in diapers when bitten, and there was no cure. We knew she must be staked before the first full moon after the attack, or there would be a baby vampire running around at night biting ankles. You might laugh, but try catching something that small with superhuman speed after your Achilles tendon is severed. Even if you manage to block out the pain, the smell of your blood would frenzy all the other vampires in the area, and your stake day would soon follow. Father wanted to stake little sis right away, but Mama asked him to wait. Let's just see if she's evil before we do anything rash. Oh, let's do that. And we'll end up like the Sullivans. The entire family had to be staked, including the dog. Mother had pondered for a few days. At the funeral, we watched as the coffin lowered into the earth like a discarded jack-in-the-box. I kept waiting for the spring to go, and little Alice to pop out of the grave, her hands in eagle pose, her fangs dripping with blood. That evening, we sat silent at the kitchen table, each of us lost in our own thoughts of baby sis. Mama stood up and headed for the barn. We didn't have to ask where she was going. Only Cousin Edward and I followed her. I'm sure Edward was along to make sure it was done properly. He'd never quite forgiven Alice for ruining his train set. As for me, at 7, I only wanted to support Mama. Truth be told, I was terrified of Alice coming out of that grave. A 2-year-old with an adult memory and had to be the worst vengeance seeker. Would she bite me for giving her cold milk instead of warming it? Had I done or not done something she would come after me for? Mama stood over the gravesite, waiting. Shouldn't you dig her up and do it while she's sleeping? Edward said. Mama just cried. Stop upsetting Mama! I smacked him on the back, something he hated more than his train set being busted. Ouch! I'm just saying! Mama doesn't want to hear that stuff now. Shh, Mama said. Listen. We could hear a scratching coming from the grave. It stopped, and Mama fell to her knees in the freshly dug earth. She can't get out! Mama clawed at the dirt, flinging scoops of it behind her like our border collie Sam. Edward and I exchanged glances, then fell to our knees, scraping the dirt. Soon a dust cloud gathered around us, making it hard to see clearly in the twilight that had come over the sky. I tried before Edward, but even he stopped to wipe sweat from his brow. Mama kept on, sobbing frantically as if she would fall into hysterics like Mrs. Murphy, who had been carted away to the loony bin after her son joined the service. I dug in again, even though my fingers felt raw and sore from the pebbles they caught. As we got deeper, chips of wood mingled with the earth. I thought perhaps we'd missed the coffin altogether. A tiny hand on mine froze me in place. It was a pink little hand, weakly grasping with sharp nails that dug into my forearm. Youch! Mama looked up at me, and a desperate plea alive in her eyes. I think I found her. I lifted my arm, and with it my baby sis. As I pulled up, she crawled out of the grave. Alice looked like a porcelain doll, her hair in 2 springy ponytails on either side of her head, her face pure white despite the soil sprinkled across her freckled nose. Mama! She squealed, jumping into Mama's quivering embrace. Mama held her tight to her chest, staring at me with an expression which asked me silently, How can I kill my baby girl? I shook my head. I don't know. Sniffling and blinking back tears, Mama pried little sis away from her chest, holding her securely against her hip as she looked into her pale blue eyes. Edward stood behind them, cemented to his spot like Father's old tractor that didn't work anymore. All the color drained from his face as he stared at Alice. A sudden movement from Sis made Edward scream and fall back, tripping over the pile of soil we created. He wasted no time, scrambling up and taking off across the field of uneven graves. Watching Edward, I didn't notice until it was too late that Alice had bitten Mama. I grabbed the little hellion from Mama's shoulders and slammed her to the ground, pinning her with my knee as I felt around for the stake. Alice's baby face giggled as if I were tickling her. Her bloody fangs extended as she grinned with a big, sticky red smile. "Do it! I can't!" Mama turned away. Gazing down at my possessed sister, I felt my heart quake. I was only 7 years old. Surely I could not be expected to kill my own baby sister. I looked up at Mama, who held out the stake. "You have to, Emma. I can't possibly." I took the stake and did what had to be done. Even as I felt her miniature fingers digging into my knee, the stake made a cracking sound that I will never forget as it pierced through her tiny chest and into her demon heart. Mama helped me bury her, and I didn't remember the bite until we headed back to the house. Panic rose in my heart. "Mama, she bit you." Mama turned to me, placing a comforting hand on mine. "Yes, love, and when the time comes, you must do the same to me."